hello there. This is John Brewer. I'm here at Wellness Within right now, making a video, Qigong video, and celebrating the beginning of my 5th year teaching Qigong here with Wellness Within. And although it's March, I want to say Happy New Year. We're well into the new year, but this is my first time back to Wellness Within and having this opportunity to share Qigong with participants and those interested in the services of Wellness Within. Qigong, if that's an unfamiliar term to you, let me break it down. Qi, life force energy, Gong, cultivation. So what we're about is cultivating life force energy. And I know you have many ways that you do that already in your life. Good diet would be one great example. And these practices I'm going to share with you are from a tradition that goes back thousands of years. And these practices have survived the test of time for one reason and one reason only, that they work. So I'm thrilled to be able to share Qigong with you today. And I want to wish you in advance health, happiness, and deep fulfillment of life, always. So, let's begin. So I've got a little theme for today's session, and the theme is, let stress go and get in the flow. Stress is one of those attributes of life. Sometimes there's good stress that can be motivating, but often stress means contracted energy or stagnant energy in our system, and we want to find ways to release stress and open our system up to healing energy, to life force energy. So one way we can do that is through breathing. So I'm starting in a seated position because we're going to just be doing some breathing together. And any of these practices I'm going to share with you can be done seated, even lying down, and standing. So the first practice I want to share with you, we do it from the moment we're born to the moment we die, and that's breathing. But especially in our Western culture, and especially when we're under stress, the breathing can become shallow, and many of us are upper chest breathers. In other words, we don't use our full capacity for breathing. Use our diaphragm entirely. So this practice is called the essential breath, and then we'll expand it to include the ever popular sigh of relief. So let's all begin just by putting our hands on our stomachs, maybe around belly button high, and just take a couple of breaths and notice how it goes. So I hope you're noticing that on the in-breath, your belly expands outward, and then the breath extends up into the lungs. And if we're doing it as well as we can, all the way to the top of our lungs. So breathing in, belly expands, continue the breath all the way to the top of the lungs. And then a long, slow exhalation. Keep going on your own. And keep going while I share with you that this essential breathing is something we want to apply when we're doing the rest of our Qigong movement practices. Open up our breathing. Breathing in deeply. Belly breath all the way up into the chest. And then a long, full, slow exhalation. Keep on breathing. This is how we're getting started today. And in our Qigong practice, when we're moving, we learn to regulate our breathing or pace our breathing. So just notice, pace your breath, long, slow in-breath. Continuing up into the very top of your lungs, long, slow out-breath. Good. And we can, as I said earlier, expand our practice of the essential breath by including a sigh of relief. Again, we're working on releasing stress with this series, right? Or this sequence of practices. And then releasing some sound can help to release stress. And sound healing is a big part of Qigong. And one of the most beautiful sounds, and there are many in Qigong breathing practice, is the sound ah. Let's just do it together one time. Take a breath in and release and say ah. That sound ah, we make it with our vocal cords, but it vibrates within our entire family of organs, but especially in our heart. One more time, big breath in, sigh of relief, ah. So, including a sigh of relief in your breathing practice is wonderful. Taking time, we're going to conclude this piece of today's class with taking 3 breaths. If we just take 3 conscious deep breaths now and then, we can literally change our patterns of breathing, taking deeper breaths throughout the day. And if we do that, we'll change our lives too, in the direction of greater health. So on your own, 3 long, slow, deep breaths, and I'll count us through this. Number 1. 2. 'And the final one, 3. Ending with a sigh of relief. Ah. Such a wonderful practice you can do just all by itself, just this much, and you've done some beautiful Qigong. Or you can continue in a series of practices. This one next is called spontaneous Qigong or natural flow Qigong. We could stay seated, but if it feels right, go ahead and stand up, and we're going to just invite ourselves to move freely. So if we just start moving, start just by gentle movement. Let's say if we had some music going on and it was about this rhythm, we'd be dancing. But would we be doing Qigong? We could be, as long as our minds were focused on what we're doing. We let go of the past, we let go of the future, and we drop into the present moment, put our focus on what we're doing with our movements. When we're doing something like spontaneous Qigong, we could notice, oh my goodness, I have a little tension in my shoulder. I wonder if I could move like this and release that, or like this and release it. So spontaneous Qigong is just move without thinking, be in the moment, move the body. Now, we can do our spontaneous Qigong. It could look like doing nothing at all. We might just be moving our pinky finger back and forth. It's whatever feels good. It's a moving meditation. Once again, we can add some dynamic movement to it. It could be very gentle and flowing. Or it could pick up the pace and be dynamic, more moderate. And it could be staccato, angular, if we wanted it to be. And we could pick up the pace even more. And it could be like chaos or chaotic, like a ragdoll. Just letting go, letting go, letting go. All right. We're going to do a little more, but let's take a little break here. Notice our breathing. Remember, that is a big part of all Qigong, is attention to the breath. Deep, flowing, relaxed in-breaths and out-breaths. Just notice your breathing now. Sometimes with something like spontaneous Qigong, we could become out of breath, so it's good to give yourself a little standing meditation to allow the breath to come into equilibrium. A little bit more with spontaneous Qigong. Just let your body move any way it wants to right now. Another word to describe spontaneous Qigong is shaking. And our theme today is releasing stress. So shaking, you've heard the term shake it off. Shake it off. Moving like this is a way to just shake it off, release tension. You know, movements like this were conceived of and utilized thousands of years ago when people were closer to nature, and they would observe the animals in the animal kingdom and notice when something stressful happened to them, like an arrow just missed and the deer would freeze, and then they would shake and just let that tension go and move on about its way. It's like that. So this is one of those momentary methods, just like essential breathing, you can do anytime you want. Anytime you want. In between, you know, different parts of your day when you're working on your computer and you're going to be moving on to something different, it'd be great to shake for a while. Or if something stressful happens, you see something in the news that was hard to see or hear, shake it off. So a very versatile practice. And of course, sounds, remember, Qigong, sound healing, any sound you wanted to make is helpful or can be helpful in releasing stress. Just like the good old sigh of relief. Ah. Now just take a moment and notice your own energy system internally, all around you. If it feels right, little smile come onto your face. All right. Let's move on next. Now, a great set of practices to combine is the one we just did, spontaneous Qigong or shaking, with tapping. Tapping is an ancient practice that preceded acupressure, a form of self-massage, and then currently we have acupuncture, which is seen as a valid form of treatment by the American Medical Association now, although it was developed in China as ancient roots. And there are more than 1,000 points on the surface of the body that are acupuncture points, and the Chinese have called these energy gates. And so we don't necessarily need to know where they all are, but if we tap upon our body, we can activate, energy through these energy gates that internally sort of send vibrations and help to break through contracted energy or tension and stress. So let's do some tapping. Now, you can tap before you do your shaking or after you do your shaking like we are now, or you can combine the two. But let's keep it simple for now, and let's just tap. Starting with the tops of our heads, gentle tapping. You can use the pads of your fingers. Just tapping all over your head. Come onto your forehead. Come onto the back of your neck, over your ears. You might avoid the eyes. It's not wrong to tap on the eyes, but for now, let's just tap around them, cheeks and jaw. If you notice tension someplace, stick around a little longer, like the jaw traditionally holds quite a bit of tension for a lot of us. And then the neck, front and back. Down the front of the neck and onto the chest. Just tapping. Just tapping. And remembering to take that long, slow, flowing, regulated breath in and out, nice and deep. Yes. It's a form of self-massage in the Qigong system. It's tapping. And let's bring one of your hands onto your shoulder and extend the other palm down. So your one arm is extended, palm down, just tap along the top of that arm, out onto the hand and the fingertips, and turn your hand over, come up the inside of the arm, tap, 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 back onto the shoulder, then put your thumb up in the air and tap along the upper part of the side of your arm, and then just this motion here where you can easily tap back the underside of the arm. Spend a little time on the underarm area where we have a concentration of lymph glands. So really support our purification system. And come across your chest. You can do little Tarzan sounds here if you like. And then come down that other arm with palm down. Bring the palm up and come back. Back onto the shoulder, thumb up. And down the arm to the fingertip, and then here we go, back. The underside of the arm. And underneath the arm, really focusing on the lymph glands. Thinking, yeah, let's get the lymph flowing. That's a great way to support our purification system. Then back onto the chest, down over the spleen and liver. Speaking of purification system, and all over the belly. And as you're doing this on your own, you can spend more or less time on different parts of the body. Nice big deep breath throughout. Down here, the groin area called the quad. Spend a little time there. You might even do little mini karate chops in that area. A very important area in traditional Chinese medicine. And then hands go behind. You want to tap the kidneys, so you might be able to do it with your palms or fingertips, or if it's easier, you could just turn your hands around where you're using your knuckles. Gently tapping the kidney area, because the kidneys are fairly close to the surface. Gently tapping. And then come down the back, buttocks, back of the legs, and only bending over as far as is comfortable for you. Just come down as far as is comfortable, and then come up the sides of the legs. Come down the front and just bend over. Stay in your comfort zone. Bend over only as far as is comfortable. If it's this far and you get to your knees, that's perfect. If it's possible to bend a little further, that's great too. And then come up the inside of your legs. Back to that quad area. And now let's just relax and breathe and notice. So meditation is part of Qigong, and the whole entirety of the practice of Qigong can be considered meditation, whereas we're keeping our mind focused on the practice as much as we can. And on our breathing. So it's nice to take at least a few seconds in between practices just to notice your own energy flow. Celebrate yourself showing up to do something really good for you, which is these Qigong practices. All right, 2 more practices to do. The next one is called flowing motion. So this is a wonderful moving meditation. Your feet can be shoulder width apart. Let me show you the movements first. We're going to use our arms in a minute, but first I want us to have the sense of sinking down. So the knees are bending, sinking down toward the earth, into the earth. Maybe you could visualize that. And then lifting up. Nice upright spine, head connected to the heavens. Sinking down, the energy of the heavens, moving down, energy of the earth, moving up. Of course, we're breathing in and out as we do this, and our breathing connects us to the biosphere all around. The life force energy in our atmosphere. Sinking down, rising up. Now this time sink down, and we're going to lift up with our arms, palms up as we rise up. Arms are shoulder height, and then turn the palms down, and palms come back down to the starting position as we sink down, and now we rise up. Nice long flowing deep in-breaths and out-breaths at your own pace, of course. this time let's stay here, relax for a moment. We'll coordinate our breathing. And so every now and then there's opportunities to coordinate breathing in Qigong, and it's an option. So you can choose to just breathe normally, maybe a little deeper than usual. In this case, we'll try to coordinate the breathing, give that a shot, see how you like it. So have a big deep out breath here, and as we rise up, we breathe in. And as we sink down, we breathe out. In and out. 2 more on your own. Now just relax and notice. There's a little bonus for the flowing motion that's great for supporting, strengthening the capacity for balance. It's also really good for the brain. I think it's called the proprioceptive function. It's really good for, brain health. Something's this simple, where when we're coming up, we come up on our tiptoes, or just gradually a little bit toward the tiptoes. And then as we sink down, we come back ever so slightly, weight back towards the back, toward the heels. So come forward, weight onto the toes, and if it feels right, onto the tiptoes. And as we come down, weight shifts slightly back toward the heels, where the toes might just come almost imperceptibly up off the floor. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. 3 more, whether going on the tiptoes or not. And just notice. Very good. All right, let's move to our final practice for today. I'll do this from a seated position. This one is called cloud hands. And right now I might mention that underneath this YouTube video, you'll see links that reference each one of the practices we will have done today. And they feature my teacher, Roger Yanka. And I think it's really great to experience something with one person, myself in this case, and then get a sense or a flavor about how another person may teach it. He's my teacher, so I just highly recommended clicking on those videos at least once if you like these practices and want to sort of deepen your capacity to utilize them. All right, cloud hands. So please just observe once while I demonstrate cloud hands. Cloud hands, like flowing motion, is one of the most ancient Qigong practices, and both show up in many Tai Chi and Qigong sequences. And as far as reducing stress and generating a sense of calm and composure, cloud hands and flowing motion are at the top of the list. So I'll walk you through this. I will be your mirror, so when I use my right hand, I'll reference it as my left. Then that will help to me to function as a mirror, and you can follow along with me. So both hands float up now to about shoulder high. Taking my right hand, leaving it in place. It's not going to move, just my left hand. Turning my body a little bit to the left, and now I'm turning my body to the center, and now that left hand is about belt high, traveling across my body as I turn my waist to the right. Now that left hand comes up. Now the two hands are palm to palm. The left hand continues up, the right hand sinks down. Now I turn my hips. The two hands are passing like clouds in front of me. One cloud that's higher in the sky than the other. And then when we get, our hips have turned to the left, the two hands pass, palm to palm. The two hands pass each other. That left hand is now the lower cloud, and the right hand is the higher cloud. Hips are turning, so no need for exertion of the musculature of the arms until we raise the lower hand and lower the upper hand, where the two hands change positions, and come right across again. The hands trade places. The hips turn, even while seated, it's quite possible just to turn the hips as far as your range of motion will allow, and let the two hands palm to palm trade places. We'll do this without me talking for 2 times, 2 on each side. We conclude by coming into what is called a Tai Chi cross. Lower the hands onto the knees and sit quietly for a moment, noticing. Continuing nice, deep, flowing breaths in and out. Cloud hands, there's a level of complexity there, but you have this video to come back to. If you want to try it again and get it to where it's working for you really well, and clicking on the video below, witnessing my teacher Roger teach the cloud hands. It's very peaceful meditative practice. Everything I've shared today is great for reducing stress and getting in the flow, and I wish that for you. I wish that life be as stress-free as possible, that you have a great sense of presence and flow in your life, that you experience health and happiness and fulfillment. And I look forward to returning probably on a YouTube video in a month or so, and maybe later this year in person. At least I hope so. So many blessings and namaste.